So we are going to start with one of the type of vacuum gauges or indirect method to measure the vacuum pressure. Okay, indirect method to measure vacuum pressure. If you remember, vacuum pressure is a pressure which is below the atmospheric pressure. Okay, yep. So indirect method to measure vacuum pressure, one of the devices that is used to measure the vacuum pressure is called as McLeod gauge. Now I'll just explain you what do you mean by a McLeod gauge. Just look at this figure and look at these three diagrams. This is suppose diagram number 1, this is our diagram number 2, and this is our diagram number 3. I'll just explain you what are the components of the McLeod gauge first of all. Okay, I can explain you here. Okay, initially what you can see is, like, you can see there are so many components. Okay, one of the component is plunger. What is the function of plunger? Plunger either moves up or down. I'll just write it. Plunger, it moves in a to and fro motion. It moves in to and fro motion. Now the second part that you can see here is, can you see here? Okay, this part. Okay, can you see this one? Okay, this one is called as, okay, I will just name it as A. Okay, this A part is called as, actually it is called as reference capillary. Okay, what do we call it as? Reference capillary, remember. Okay, what I'm trying to explain you is this part. Okay, this part, sorry, this part is called as reference capillary. It will be similar to what you had in your this what do you say, manometer. There are two capillaries, correct? So similar to that, there is a change or extended arm, you can say, in the reference capillary. Now in the reference capillary there will be something. Okay, there will be a mark on one side of the reference capillary, and this mark is called as, actually this mark is a scale. Actually this mark is available everywhere. Okay, so this mark is called as scale. Okay, simple. Okay, this mark will be a scale. So if you can see this, suppose this I name it as B, so this is a measuring scale. Okay, or you can say a reference scale, that is there as a part of reference capillary only, reference scale. Okay, the third thing that you can see is, you can see one more capillary, correct? This is called as measuring capillary. If you can see this sealed part, right? So this C part, if I name it as C, this is actually measuring capillary. Okay, this is called as measuring capillary. Now if you can see this one, I can name it anywhere. I'll just name it for the simplicity here. This D part is called as bulb. Okay, what do we call as? Measuring bulb, you can say, or you can even say measuring directly bulb, whatever you want to say. So this part is called as bulb. Now, okay, anything else? Yeah, whatever is there inside, can you see something which is black? Okay, this is actually mercury, filled mercury. Okay, this can be anything, any fluid, but for reference we can take it to be filled mercury or any fluid. Okay, whatever is inside this, can you see something which is dotted? Okay, this is the fluid. Okay, which will come from this end. I'll just explain you afterwards. Okay, I'll just explain you fluid whose pressure is to be measured. Okay, F part is fluid whose pressure is to be measured. Okay, so if we can revise, what are the various components that we can see here is, one of the component is plunger. Okay, it moves to and fro. Second component, what you can say, is a reference capillary. It is having two sections. One section is a you can say a reference scale. The second section will be actually more like a manometer, which will have a capillary action. Okay, the third part that you can see, which is the sealed part, which I have called it as C, it is a measuring capillary. What you can see below the measuring capillary is a bulb. Okay, then what more we can see is a dark part, which is actually a filled mercury or any fluid, you can say. And whatever is then the dotted in the this gauge, that is called as fluid whose pressure we want to measure. Okay, Now, how does it work? If I want to make you understand how does it work, so I'll just take one thing, I'll just take it down for the simplicity part. Okay, just for you to understand it more better, I'll just take it down. Okay, now how does it work? This is very important. I'll just try to explain you as simple as possible. Okay, now what you can see here is initially what will happen. Okay, this plunger, if you can you see? This plunger will be moved in the upward direction. First step. Okay, working. I'm just telling you working. I'm not giving you a working principle. I'll explain you working principle afterwards. First, what you need to do, how does it work? Plunger is moved upward. Okay, what will happen? This is actually in the upward position only right now. This plunger is kept in the upward position. If you see at the figure 1, this is actually moved upward. Okay, the plunger is moved upward. Okay, when the plunger moves upward, okay, what will happen? This, you can see this, whatever is the mercury level here, that will rise to this side, right? The mercury will rise from this side and it will fall from this side. Okay, the plunger is moved upward such that, this is very important, such that the, you can say such that the mercury, okay, on the bulb side, okay, moves just below the bulb. Okay, moves just below the bulb. Okay, now when the mercury on the bulb side, or you can see the right side, when it will move just below the bulb, okay, what you have to do, you have to introduce, okay, the gas whose pressure you want to measure. Okay, from which side? There is one side which is called as sealed side, or you can even say, what do we call it as? This is actually reference capillary, and this is measuring capillary. If you remember, this was reference capillary and this was measuring capillary. Introduce gas or any fluid. Rather than using gas, I'll just use the word fluid. Introduce fluid from which side? If you can see, this is which side? This is actually, this is my reference capillary. Okay, introduce fluid from reference capillary. Okay, whose pressure we want to measure. Whose pressure, let the pressure be called as P. Whose pressure P we would like to measure. Okay, this is very important. Okay, now whatever the gas that we have, we already know its volume. This is very important. The pressure is unknown, but the volume of this gas is known. Okay, volume is known. Okay, unknown pressure, okay, the gas or fluid, you can say fluid volume is already known. Okay, this is very important. We know the volume of the fluid that is entering into the reference capillary. Simple. Now when it will enter into the reference capillary, what you can see from here, when it will enter, okay, this will go to this side also, and this will try to occupy the volume on the measuring side and the bulb. Okay, the fluid, since it is a gas, or you can say any fluid, okay, suppose we'll take a gas. Okay, since fluid, which is a gas, okay, when it enters from the reference capillary, it takes, okay, its place, okay, even in the measured capillary or measuring capillary, as well as in the bulb. Okay, it takes its place in measuring capillary and bulb. Simple. Okay, this is very important. Fluid takes its place in the measuring capillary. It will directly move towards the measuring capillary as well as the bulb. Okay, what you can see here. Okay, this fluid will move to this side. Now what happens in the second step is very important. Now we have done, we have actually lifted the plunger up. When we lift the plunger up, what actually happens is the fluid is allowed to go inside from the reference side. Okay, and it can even take its position, across the measuring capillary, which is sealed. Okay, and across the bulb also. Now what happens in the second? Okay. Now I'll go to the second diagram. What happens in the second diagram? Now the plunger is slowly moved downward. Okay. Plunger moves downward. Now what will happen? This is very important. When the plunger will move downward, okay, automatically, okay, okay, the level of the mercury will rise on the another side. Okay. Level of mercury will rise in the measured capillary or measuring capillary as well as the reference capillary. This is very important. In the measuring capillary and the reference capillary, what we can see, the level of fluid is rising in the measuring capillary and reference capillary. Okay, this is my measuring capillary, this is my reference, sorry, this is my reference capillary and this is my measuring capillary. Will rise in the measuring capillary as well as the reference capillary. Now, the plunger should be allowed to move down until and unless it reaches the zero mark. Okay, suppose this is having scale. I have already told you this will have scale. Okay, okay. The plunger should be allowed to move down. Okay, should be allowed to move from C. Initially it was at the up position, now then it came to the down position, right? Then it should be allowed to move as much down as possible until and unless the zero mark in the reference capillary is reached for the mercury. Okay, simple. Plunger is allowed to move down as long as, until, you can say until, okay, until zero mark is reached in the reference capillary. Zero mark, mercury is reached at the zero mark in the reference capillary. Until mercury is at zero mark, okay, what I can write in simple term is until mercury is reached, okay, at zero mark in the reference capillary. Simple. Okay, now I hope these things are getting clear for you. Okay, mercury is reached at zero mark in the reference capillary. Simple. Now what will happen? Okay, now when the mercury will reach to the zero mark in the reference capillary, it will also rise in the measured capillary. Okay, at the same time, mercury will also rise in the mercury will also rise in measured capillary, correct? Okay, measuring capillary or measured capillary, it will also rise in the measured capillary. Okay, okay. Now the difference between the measured capillary and the reference capillary will give me the height, okay, or you can say will give me the pressure of the fluid in terms of difference of mercury. Okay, you can see, okay, the difference between the measured capillary, I can write it, difference between measuring capillary and reference capillary will give me the height of the mercury column. Will give us height of mercury column. And this height of mercury column will be the indication of the pressure of the fluid, correct? Okay, whatever is the height of the mercury column, this height of the mercury column will indicate, as you can see, suppose this is the difference. Okay, so whatever is the fluid, this will indicate the height of the mercury column will indicate the pressure of the unknown fluid. Okay, so I can write The height of fluid indicates pressure of mercury. Oh, sorry. Indicates pressure of unknown fluid. Simple. Okay. Unknown fluid. Now, if we can try to simplify, we know that if we remember Boyle's law in thermodynamics, we have studied. What do you mean by Boyle's law? Pressure is inversely proportional to volume. When the pressure is more, when the volume is more, pressure is less. When the volume is less, pressure is more. Okay, or we can even write it as PV is equal to constant. Okay, now if we try to compare, suppose P and V, okay, this is the pressure and volume of unknown fluid. Keep it simple. Okay, or you can say rather than unknown fluid, you can say gas fluid. Okay, whose pressure is unknown. Okay, gas fluid. Now what do we know in this? This is known and this is unknown that we want to measure. Correct? Now what I'm saying, now let we can directly say PV, okay, should be equal to P1 V1. Okay, now, or you can even say PC VC. This will be simple. Okay, now what do you mean by PC? PC will be the pressure of gas in the measuring capillary. Okay, remember what was the pressure of gas in the measuring capillary? There was something called as height. Okay, so this is pressure of gas in measuring capillary, right? Automatically the pressure will be balanced. Okay, the pressure of gas in measuring capillary, and VC is volume of gas. Okay, volume of gas in measuring capillary. If you remember, there was a height. If you remember, there was a height, right? And this was the difference, right? And whatever was the difference is the h. Now, if I want to find the volume of this thing, I know the volume will be equal to whatever is the cross-section area of this capillary into the height, correct? So I can write VC, whatever is the volume of the measuring capillary will be equal to AC, area of measuring capillary, into the height column, correct? So this will be equal to VC is equal to AC into H. Okay, so now what I can write here is PV will be equal to, just write it, PV will be equal to PC into VC, and we know that PC will be as it is, and we can write VC. VC is what? AC into H. Now, what is PC is very important. PC will be equal to, if you remember, there was H, okay, and it will have some density, suppose rho m. So this will be equal to rho m into H plus whatever is the pressure from the plunger end. I hope you remember. There was a plunger. I'll just take that figure for you to understand it more properly. There was a pressure from the plunger end also, right? So whatever is the pressure from the plunger end, that is also very important. Okay, right? So whatever is the pressure from the plunger end, let that pressure will be equal to whatever you can say this pressure, whatever is the pressure from the plunger end. Okay, whatever is the pressure from the plunger end will be automatically equal to this pressure, correct? So what I can say is, okay, I'll just what I have taken the pressure, fluid pressure is equal to P, correct? So same pressure will be applied to the plunger end also. So I can write P, right? So rho into M into H plus P. Now this is very important. The density of rho M is kg per meter cube, density of anything, and this is meter. H is in meter. So our unit is kg per meter square. Rather than Newton per meter square, we are using kg per meter square. Okay, that's okay. We can even convert it into Newton per meter square by multiplying it by G. But since we are not multiplying, it's okay. It will be in kg per meter square. So what is important? PC is equal to rho m into H plus P. Now, if you remember, PC VC was equal to P into V. Okay. If you remember, this P and this P are actually equal. Okay. This will be the pressure that will be applied from the plunger end, and this will automatically be equal to the pressure of the fluid. Okay. So now what we are going to do is I'm just going to simplify. If you remember, PV will be equal to, what is the value of PC? Rho M H plus P. And if you remember VC, VC was equal to what? Okay, AC into H. Now we will try to simplify this. We are just completed with the thing. Okay. Now this will be equal to rho M H AC, right? Plus, if I am not wrong, sorry, H square AC. If you can see, there will be H and H, and this will be P AC into H will be equal to P into V. Now, since we can see P on both the sides, PV minus P into AC into H will be equal to rho M H square AC. Okay, remember AC is nothing but area of the capillary where the measuring is happening. Okay, sorry, measuring capillary. Not measuring is happening, measuring capillary. So if we take out P common, V minus AC into H square will be equal to, sorry, V minus AC into H will be equal to rho M H square AC. So P will be equal to pressure of the fluid, unknown pressure of the fluid will be equal to rho M H square AC upon V minus AC into H. As simple as that. Okay. Now this is very important. Suppose we actually know the volume of the fluid. Now this is the actual general formula of finding the unknown pressure. Okay. Now this is how the McLeod gauge is calibrated. If you want to know how do we get the pressure, okay. So this is the thing. We know rho m, we know H, we know AC, we know the volume of the fluid that is coming, okay, whose pressure is unknown. We know AC and we know H. Now, if we want to simplify, if V is very, very, very large than AC into H, whatever is the volume of AC into H, see, we can measure AC, we can measure H, and we also know the volume of the fluid whose pressure is unknown. Okay, so if V is very, very, very greater than AC into H, then we can consider that what will happen is this can be neglected, correct? So what will remain here is P will be equal to, okay, rho M H square AC by V. Okay, even if you don't consider it, okay, this is not that important. What is important is what we can see, what we can say is what is important is V minus AC into H. This formula can be considered to be a general formula to measure the unknown which pressure. This is very important. This is vacuum pressure. This kind of gauge is actually used to measure the vacuum pressure. Remember, okay. And this gauge is called as what kind of gauge? McLeod gauge. Okay. Now I can even list some advantages and disadvantages. Before listing that, what I'll be trying to do for you is I'll be telling you now what is the working principle of this. Okay, working principle. I'll just put it for you in simple words. What is the working principle? The McLeod gauge works on the principle such that gas whose pressure is to be measured okay, gas whose pressure is to be measured is compressed. Actually, it is compressed so that manometer can read it. If we can try to simplify, that is what is happening. Manometer is able to read the compressed, okay, the gas. Okay, what is the height of the compressed gas? Manometer is so that manometer is able to read it efficiently. That's it. Simple as that. Okay, now if I want to list some advantages and disadvantages, I'll do that also. If you can remember, working principle, gas whose pressure is to be measured is compressed in such a way that manometer is able to read the value of that, okay, height column efficiently. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Okay, if I want to tell you advantage is it is actually used for calibration purpose of various vacuum gauges. Okay, just give me a second. Calibration of pressure, or you can say low pressure. Okay, this is very important, one of the advantage. If I want to list some disadvantage, I'll just list down disadvantage also. Okay, this is not for a dynamic response, this is more for a static response, right? It cannot give you continuous output, it can only give you the output for which for the gas which you are going to use. Okay, so this will not be giving you continuous output, no continuous output. Okay, or you can write no dynamic response. Okay, okay, it cannot be used where mercury is hazardous, cannot be used where mercury is hazardous. Okay, simple. Now it can be, one of the advantage I can say is, okay, it can be used to measure pressure up to 10 raised to minus 3, 10 raised to minus 4 torr. Okay, this is also one of the advantage, but the disadvantage can be to measure the pressure of value of 10 raised to minus 4 torr. We know 10 raised to minus 3 torr is how much? If you remember 10 raised to minus 3 torr, yeah, 1 torr was equal to 1 mm of Hg. So 10 raised to minus torr will be equal to 0.001 mm of Hg. So you can understand special techniques will be required, right? Special techniques where your calibration, or you can say the reading of the scale, should be such efficient that you can measure up to 0.001. Okay, this kind of accuracy is actually available in various measuring instruments. So you need to use or induce special techniques to measure such kind of pressures, vacuum pressures. Okay, now one more disadvantage is when you compress the gas. Okay, when you try to compress the fluid, mercury is condensed. Okay, and it can lead to serious error because you are trying to condense. Okay, the pressure is already very low, so if the pressure is low, automatically the mercury can get condensed. Okay, and give error. Condensed mercury can give error at low pressure, at low pressure. So this is all about McLeod gauge. Okay, I hope it was clear and nice for you people. Thank you.